An earthquake with a magnitude 4.7 on the Richter scale struck east of San Diego this morning, about 90 miles east of San Diego, on the edge of the Salton Sea in Southern California's Imperial County. The quake struck at 4:55 a.m. Pacific time at a depth of about 3.5 miles. It was centered about 3 miles south of the small town of Bombay Beach, 90 miles east of San Diego. A 3.0 quake shook the same spot about 3 minutes later, immediately followed by a 3.6 quake a few miles to the north. Witnesses report that there was shaking on the ground. Some traffic was interrupted, but they have no reports of any damage. Yesterday's MD-11 Federal Express crash at Narita, it looks like the word is coming in that it might have been wind shear. Air crash investigators in Tokyo are trying to determine what caused the plane to crash land and burst into flames at one of Narita's main runways. The crash killed both the plane's pilots, who were the only two people on board, closed the runway down for several hours, forcing the cancellation of hundreds of flights. Attention is being paid to the possibility that the plane may have been hit by wind shear. Wind shear is particularly dangerous for planes during takeoff or landing, when pilots have barely a few seconds to respond to sudden change in conditions. The MD-11, belonging to FedEx, had been on a routine flight from its hub Guangzhou in southern China when it suddenly cartwheeled and burst into flames as it came into Tokyo yesterday morning. At the time of the crash, the Japanese Meteorological Agency had warned aircraft that the area around Narita was at risk of wind shear. The airport was being lashed by strong wind gusts of up to 72 kilometers per hour. Patrick Smith, a well-known Boston-based pilot and aviation analyst, told the Associated Press that the strong winds and known control issues with the MD-11 may have contributed to the crash. Mr. Smith said it's possible that shears from these gusts, together with the known instability issues of the MD-11, led to the accident. Smith said that the MD-11 has unusually sensitive controls, one effect of which is a tendency for pilots to over-control during a bounced or otherwise unstable landing. In severe cases, that can lead to a real total loss of control. In 1997, another FedEx MD-11 crashed by flipping over and bursting into flames while landing at Newark Airport. And 2 years later, in 1999, another MD-11, not owned by Federal Express, flipped over and burst into flames, landing in Hong Kong. Speaking of planes, a Canberra, Australia-bound Qantas Airways flight was forced to return to Sydney this morning after developing engine trouble. Qantas Flight 805 had left Sydney early in the evening Australia time, returned back because of an oil pressure problem. According to Qantas, a replacement plane operated the service and all passengers arrived in Canberra 2.5 hours late. Of course, in July, a Qantas flight from Hong Kong to Australia was forced to make an emergency landing after an exploding oxygen bottle caused a mid-air blast. I guess since we're on planes, we'll go ahead with this next story. Jamie Dimon, I apologize. J.P. Morgan Chase, the big bank, the recipient of $25 billion in Troubled Asset Relief Program funds, TARP, has decided to go ahead with a $138 million plan to buy 2 new luxury corporate jets, as well as build the premier corporate aircraft hangar on the eastern seaboard. This is where the planes will live. This is according to ABC News. The bank's upgrading and jet plane fleet includes nearly $120 million for 2 Gulfstream 650s and $18 million for a renovation of a hangar at the Westchester Airport outside of New York. According to J.P. Morgan Chase's architects, the new hangar will be built with reclaimed wood, quarry tile, and even a vegetated roof garden. The Gulfstream 650s are described by the manufacturer as the fastest, widest, and most comfortable private jet ever, with superior cabin amenities and an optional stateroom and 12 interior designs to choose from. A spokesman for J.P. Morgan said that no TARP money would be used to make any payments for the new jets or for the hangar improvements. He refused to comment as to whether the bank had put a down payment for the new planes in already, saying only that future jet purchases would be part of its normal aircraft replacement money. Policy. He also said that J.P. Morgan Chase will repay all TARP money before it makes any payments for the new planes or for renovations. The The spokesman also said that the bank would have 9 years to make its $18 million in renovations. However, Westchester County, which is the organization that has to improve the building permit, said that the bank's proposals say that the renovations at the hangar would have to be completed within 6 months. J.P. Morgan noted that once the government is repaid for its investment, the bank will purchase the new jets to replace ones in its existing fleet, and it would not increase the size of its overall fleet. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And now from the sublime to the ridiculous, or maybe from the ridiculous to the sublime. This is coming from Colorado. A parrot, here he is, Willie, this is actually the parrot, has been honored as a hero. Why? Well, his cries of alarm alerted his owners when a little girl choked on her own breakfast. He received an award from the Red Cross Chapter's Animal Lifesaver Award. Back in November, his owner, Megan Howard, was babysitting for a little toddler. Ms. Howard left the room when the little girl, Hannah, started to choke on her breakfast. The parrot, Willie, repeatedly yelled, "Mama, baby, and flapped his wings. Ms. Howard returned in time to find the little girl turning blue. Ms. Howard saved Hannah by performing the Heimlich maneuver, but said that the parrot, Willie, is the real hero. The part where she turned blue is always in my heart. Is when my heart drops, no matter how many times I've heard it," said Hannah's mother. "My heart drops in my stomach and I get all teary-eyed." Willie got his award during a breakfast of champion events on Friday, attended by the governor, Governor Bill Ritter, and the mayor of Denver, John Hickenlooper. Well, that's really something. Hopefully, what's the name of that movie, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead? There are hopefully other things to do in Denver, but to go to an award for parrots, although my hat is off to said parrot. Hopefully the governor and the mayor have more pressing matters. Stock market still down about 44 points. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. If not, thank you for watching.